Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today's video is about someone who is aiming to succeed at work or in their higher studies, and this topic is the power of speaking articulately. And here is a reality check. Whether we are talking about a job or a research project or some professional setting, communication is the one skill that can make or break your success. No matter how technically sound you are, how skillful you are, if you can't effectively deliver your ideas, it can slow down your progress. Those who stand out at their workplaces or their higher studies in some professional settings, they are not just experts in their field. They are also the ones who can express their ideas, their expertise in clear, confident, and very engaging ways. So if you are ready to take your communication skills to the next level, here are 5 essential tips to help you speak more articulately. And let's jump right into the first tip, which is slowing down. I know this sounds really simple, but it is incredibly difficult. When we are nervous, excited, or feeling under pressure, our first instinct is often to speed up. But speaking too quickly can make us sound rushed and even unprepared, and it can lead to stumbling over words, which really takes away from clarity. So let's break down why slowing down helps. First, when you speak slowly, you are naturally going to articulate each word more clearly. Imagine that you are explaining something new to someone new, and this can be any topic of your choice. So your tone, your pacing, and even your pauses help them follow along. And in a professional setting, this shows that you are in control of your message. A great exercise for this is to record yourself speaking on a familiar topic, listen back, and pay attention to how fast you are talking. Try re-recording the same message with intentional pauses at natural breaking points. You can do this between sentences or after key points, and then you will notice that a slower pace adds a level of calmness and clarity to your speech. Also, remember that pauses are really powerful. When you pause between thoughts, it not only gives your audience a chance to process what you are saying, but it also gives you a moment to gather your own thoughts, helping you avoid the filler words like and things like that. It's really a simple trick, but when done right, it's incredibly effective. Now the tip 2 is to focus on pronunciation. One of the biggest challenges in speaking clearly is making sure each word is pronounced correctly and fully. We all have certain sounds that trip us up, like the TH sound in English, and specific words we tend to rush through. So clear pronunciation is like giving your message a polished surface. I'm not saying you to copy someone's accent or try to mimic some British or American accents, but people notice when you say words with precision. Think about someone who often mumbles or slurs words together. It doesn't matter how brilliant their ideas are. If you can't understand them, the message usually gets lost, because during the conversation you will miss the message and you will miss some words, like what he's saying and what was this word and how it fits to the sentence. So this creates confusion in their minds, and usually the message gets lost between these confusions. So start by identifying the words or sounds that you found challenging, and you might even ask a friend or some colleague for feedback, as sometimes we are not aware of our own weak spots. So once you have done this thing, you can choose few sentences with these challenging words and record yourself saying them. Repeat them until the pronunciation feels natural and clear. Over the time, this will help you improve your general pronunciation. And if you are alone, you can start by practicing more and more of these words by saying them again and again. And I know it might feel silly, but it's a great exercise for building muscle memory, especially for the sounds you tend to rush through. And once it feels natural, dial it back slightly and you will find that your regular speech has become clearer. Now the tip number 3 is to use pauses. Now you might be thinking, didn't we already talk about slowing down? Yes, but using pauses intentionally takes things at a step further. Pausing at right moments help you guide your audience through your message, emphasizing the most important points. Because when you pause before or after a significant idea, it highlights that the part of your message and tells your audience that yeah, this thing is important. So think of a speech or a TED talk that really impacted you. Chances are the speaker used pauses to create a rhythm and emphasizing only the key points and giving the audience spaces to reflect in between the speech. So how can you practice speaking with pauses? If you're preparing for a presentation or even for a meeting, identify a few key points where you can insert the pauses, and after a critical piece of information, you can give the audience a second or two before moving on. So you might find that some points need a slightly longer pauses than others, especially if you are sharing a big idea or something complex. So play around with this thing and notice how it feels, and it can dramatically impact how your message is received. And let me tell you that most people feel inconfident about speaking in English or some non-native language is that they have those filler words in between, like So this is one of the best ways to replace the filler words with pauses. Anytime you feel reaching yourself for a word, for a filler word, take a short breathe instead. It makes you sound much more composed and thoughtful. Now the tip number 4 is expanding your vocabulary. Now I don't mean that you need to use fancy words or complicated vocab. In fact, trying to sound overly sophisticated can sometimes make you less clear. But having a rich vocabulary can help you be more precise in choosing words that really capture what you're trying to say. Because when you know exactly the right word to use, you are able to avoid vague phrases and vague expressions that can make your message harder to understand. And one of the best ways to build vocabulary is just by reading. When you come across a word you don't know, look it up in the dictionary and try using it in a sentence later that day. And write down new words and revisit them. When you learn a word that resonates with you, make a conscious effort to use it in conversations or in your writing. And there are some great apps out there like word of the day apps, like they can introduce you to new words and phrases every day. And the more words you have at your disposal, the more effectively you can express your thoughts without hesitation. And finally, the last tip is to practice active listening, because this might sound unrelated to speaking, but it's actually one of the most critical skills you can develop if you communicate more effectively. Active listening means you are fully engaged in what the other person is saying without planning your response in your head. When you truly listen, you are able to respond more thoughtfully. You will ask relevant questions and connect with others on a deeper level. And this makes your response sound more natural and makes the conversation feel more collaborative. Because when someone is talking, try not to think about your reply until they are finished. This forces you to be fully present in the conversation, which can dramatically improve the quality of your response. And instead of jumping into your own point, start with a question like, what do you mean by that? Or can you expand on that? This shows that you are engaged and gives you a moment to process what's being said. And try paraphrasing what the other person said before adding your thoughts. For example, so what I'm hearing is you are saying something like related to football or something. So this not only shows that you are actively listening, but also gives you a moment to gather your thoughts before diving into the response. So those were my 5 tips for speaking more articulately. So just to recap a little bit, you have to slow down your pace while communication. You have to focus on clear pronunciation, but remember that you don't have to mimic any accent. The third tip was to use pauses for emphasis and for your focus on some specific points in your speech. The fourth point was to expand your vocabulary day by day. And the last part was to practice active listening. But remember that improving your communication skill takes time, and with regular practice, you will notice a real difference in how people respond to you. So thank you for tuning into this video. And if you found this video really helpful, you can share this video to your friends and with anyone who might benefit from it. So keep practicing, stay confident, and I will see you in the next video.